William Martin Aucoin, or Bill Aucoin as he was better known, was an American rock manager, well known for his work with Kiss and Billy Idol. Bill Aucoin was affectionately known and widely recognized as the fifth member of the original 1970s Kiss lineup. Born in 1943 in Ayer, Massachusetts, Bill attended Northeastern University and graduated with a degree in film. He was fascinated by radio and in the late 1950s, aged just 14, set up a small radio station that was soon closed down by the Federal Communications Commission. Somehow he avoided a hefty fine and even a jail sentence because of his young age and his promise to take the antenna down. During his college years and for some time after, Bill worked at WGBH in Boston, which was Boston's local PBS affiliate. Following his graduation, Aucoin joined Teletape Productions in New York City to mainly direct television commercials. Aucoin also helped develop the much-exported format of supermarket sweep in the early 1970s. In 1973 he devised a show for NBC called Flipside, which went behind the scenes and into the studio with superstars like Stevie Wonder and John Lennon. It was this show that attracted the attention of Gene Simmons of Kiss, who would invite him to some of their earliest gigs in New York. Aucoin was impressed and chucked in his TV job, deciding that the task of rock manager seemed to be a more promising career. Aucoin saw Kiss play a showcase gig at New York's Diplomat Hotel in the summer of 1973, offered them a deal on the spot and then secured them a record deal with Neil Bogart's newly formed Casablanca label in November that same year. I remember the first thing I asked him was, "Why do you want to do this? What's in it for you?" recalled Paul Stanley. He said, "I've never done this before and I want to put together the kind of band that's gonna be the biggest band in the world." Bill would draw upon his directing background skills to videotape the band rehearsing and then play back the results so that they could see how they looked when performing. This was an important element of refining the Kiss show, and it allowed them to be better directed and choreographed than most other bands around at that time in the early 1970s. When the eponymous 1974 Kiss debut album only sold about 75,000 copies in the US, a determined Aucoin backed his hunch, maxing out his credit card to the tune of $25,000 a month, and kept the group going on the road over the next 18 months and recording 2 more studio albums. In fact, Aucoin and Neil Bogart, the owner of Casablanca, poured most of their life savings into Kiss. Bill later told Kiss's biographers that he invested as much as $300,000 of his own money in Kiss. "That was my whole role, every cent I had," he said. When Kiss finally hit the big time with Alive in 1975, Bill would finally enjoy the spoils of his hard work and investment. He had struck a quite unusual deal with the band, taking a whopping 25% of Kiss's revenue, compared with the traditional 15% for most other managers. From 1975 to 1979, the trajectory of wealth and recognition only went up and up. But bloated with riches and power, Kiss would nearly self-implode over the next couple of years, resulting in their worst-received album, Music from the Elder, in 1981. Reaching an all-time low point in their career, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons turned inward and agreed that some changes would be needed, including management. Aucoin and Kiss officially parted ways in May 1982. While the vision had long ago been realized, the desire and passion seemed to have faded for Aucoin and the band. Bill was now often spending more time looking for other acts with which to repeat the success while being paid by Kiss. His involvement with other acts proved to be a major bone of contention with the band. He got involved with lots of other bands, said Gene Simmons. I personally went up to him and said, "This is not going to fly. Kiss is more than a band and we need you here." Kiss was looking to cut costs too and perhaps felt that as part of the rejuvenation process, they needed to do a certain amount of house cleaning. Gene and Paul came into my office and said, "Look, we think that basically it's time to leave." And that was pretty much that, said Aucoin. The farewell was emotional for both sides. Paul and Gene met with Bill at his office and told him their decision, recalled business manager Criss. "One day they walked into the office and we discussed it and we wound up crying," said Aucoin. "I remember we were all crying our eyes out. Tears, and crying and hugging each other. It was very unusual for them. And that was it." By 1986, Kiss and Aucoin had officially completely severed their ties, as Aucoin agreed to have his interest bought out for a one-time payment, and thus released the band from any further financial obligations. This is the full roster of bands that Bill Aucoin would officially manage during his career in music. The big one that got away from Bill was Van Halen, ironically discovered by Gene Simmons in 1976. Bill Aucoin famously proclaimed that Van Halen, whose demo tape Simmons had financed in New York, had no chance and he turned down the opportunity to manage them. Sadly, Bill Aucoin would develop prostate cancer and it would eventually cause his death in 2010, at age 66. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons of Kiss posted the following tribute on the band's website. Bill Aucoin, our irreplaceable original manager, mentor and dear friend, has died of complications arising from his ongoing battle with prostate cancer. He was instrumental in guiding us from the beginning, and without his vision, leadership and unending dedication, we could never have scaled the heights we have reached. Bill loved life and lived it to the fullest. Words can never convey his impact on us or those close to him. Over all the years, he never missed an opportunity to be with us at our shows near his home or fly in for special concerts, including our most recent Madison Square Garden show. He had hoped to attend our London show earlier this month, but his illness prevented it. He still planned to visit us upon the start of our upcoming US tour. We loved him, told him and have peace that he knew it. We will grieve and celebrate all he was and did. We have lost a part of us.